Hey there, Pisces. Welcome to your reading. We're going to do a rest of the year reading. Really, this is the year because the year, I said in the 2025 readings, doesn't really begin until like after the retrogrades. And really, technically, I feel like the year doesn't start until May. So that's what this reading is going to be about. We are going to mix up the rows a little bit here, but in your first row, we are going to do just your current general energies. And we have the birds and the lily. Here, I'm using the Gilded Lenormand again. These two cards can represent gossip or, people gossiping about you and all that other stuff. And look at this, 10, 10, 10, damn. I like that, Pisces. That is very good. I would say let them talk. If people are talking about you, you must be doing something right. So, I wouldn't even worry about it here with those cards. But definitely could represent gossip. Now, coming up with like the Ten of Cups and the Ten of Pentacles and the Ten of Swords as well. This is like one of those things where you should probably keep things to yourself right now. So, even if people are talking, I think it's better to work in silence and, let them assume whatever the hell they want to assume and just go from there. It's kind of like what's popping into my head for you, Pisces, this first row is kind of like what I've been saying to you all along. I mean, we have the world here as well. And, as I've said to you before, you are really standing out right now. And, I think that, kind of Pisces in a lot of ways will be making people look bad. There's no other way to say it, Pisces. It's like, if you can do the work of 10 people and everybody else is doing like barely any work in your life, then, people are going to have something to say about it. They're going to say like, oh, they must be cheating. They must be, they must be using some shortcuts, or they must be doing this, or they must be doing that, or whatever, right? So it's like, that's kind of like the chatter that is popping up in my head with that Lily card. But it's like, let your results speak for themselves. There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to even be concerned about here. And so I wouldn't even worry about it, right? And that's it. You have the Ten of Cups, Ten of Swords, and the Ten of Pentacles. Really good for your, again, we're doing the rest of the year, but really this is for the real 2025 is what we should say, from May until the end of the year. And the Ten of Cups is like fortune after difficulty, happy home, happy family, good feelings, good for love, just in general. So if you want love, looks good. Although right now this really isn't a love reading. I think this is more about improvements. And, really I think this since November, it's probably been a challenge for you. So you probably are, kind of more focused on getting back up onto your feet, so to speak, at the, for the rest of the year. And that would make a lot of sense to me. And, it's kind of like at the same time, there is this feeling of protection in this reading, or like needing to protect what you are doing, as in not sharing it with too many people and all that other stuff. So it's almost like you are trying to protect the goodness, or it's like you're trying to protect the things that are working. You have the Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords can be a blessing in disguise. He's making the symbol with his hand right here, and it represents a blessing. It's the same symbol that the Hierophant is making on his card. So a lot of you could be looking at some endings that have experienced over the last year or so, and you could be seeing how that certain things that didn't work are really a blessing for Pisces. I feel over the past several years, Pisces has kind of experienced like the yo-yo effect, where it's like, it's like sometimes I think things go well. It's like the yo-yo is going out, and then it's like then the yo-yo comes back and things return to like a certain baseline. And so what the hell am I talking about, right? What I'm talking about is, it's like maybe you make a certain amount of money and then you like come down, and then you go back up and then you come back down. And so it's this feeling of kind of like having to chase your own tail. Maybe that's a good way to put it, where it's like you can get ahead. I think when Pisces puts their mind to it, they do get ahead, but I think you are sick and tired of chasing your tail. And I kind of feel, but this right here is popping into my head as a perspective change. This is a deep reading, Pisces, really. I think you could, I think the rest of the year is going to be really good for you. And I said that in your 2025 reading that, really things really improve for Pisces in May. So it makes sense, and I think that you are maybe coming up with better plans, better things to focus on to make so that you're not always chasing your own tail. It's almost like you're coming up with systems. But I do feel the Ten of Swords is saying, if you haven't already, that you should look for the blessing in the things that sucked. It's like I fully believe everything that happens to us that sucks in life, it's like there is something there that if we learn it, then we create an improvement and we can avoid it moving forward. So if you haven't found it yet, I would start looking. You have the Ten of Pentacles, which is amazing for money. So, I know every Pisces is worried about Neptune and Pisces. I've had a ton of Pisces contact me asking me about Neptune and Pisces because it is Pisces' second house. And even if it's not your second house, doesn't matter. But what I would say is that, for all Pisces, it could create like muddled thinking around career or finances or how you make your money because it is Pisces' second house. And again, even if it's not your second house, you're going to have to look at your own chart. But even if it's not, it's still going to affect your money. And so I would say that, the good news is that we will have Saturn in the near future, next year or whatever, will be moving also into your second house. With Neptune, Neptune is going to retrograde back into Pisces. I think that, Saturn being there for like the first 3 years, the first 3 real years of Neptune in Aries, because again, Neptune retrogrades back into Aries. I feel that this will set you up for success if you are disciplined, if you put in the work, if you come up with like a long-term plan as well. I would say that Saturn and Neptune in your second house, you can't build something, on sand. You have to build something on a solid foundation. And so whatever you're building doesn't really matter, but as long as you do that, you will be very successful. Like, again, I really feel like there's nothing to worry about for Pisces for money. The only way I would be worried is if you're continuing to chase your tail, or if you're building things based off of a fantasy. If you're building something without thinking about the reality part of it, that's going to be a problem. But if you don't, then you probably will do better than ever, really. So let's see. With the 10 of Cups, you have the King of Pentacles. I also feel Pisces is like not playing games in love, just in general. I don't even feel like this is a person. Like, could it be? Sure. But, I kind of feel this is more talking about permanence. Like, I feel like it's almost like if you are dealing with love for the rest of the year, which it is good. Like, May is very good for love for Pisces. The rest of the year really is, just in general. I think that you're looking for like clues that a person is a serious person. It's like this isn't so much talking about a person. I think it's more talking about like the things that you are looking for, if that makes sense. But, I would say that's good. It's like you're not just accepting any old bozo off the side of the road, right? With the Ten of Swords, you have the World, which you have twice here, and the World can represent an accomplishment or achievement. The World can also represent, just completing something and going to the next stage. In the Major Arcana, we go from the Fool to the World, and then we start all over again as the Fool. So, and you also have the Eight of Wands here, which can be a quick conclusion or, something coming to an end. So, all this together would kind of represent a positive new beginning. Yes, with the 10 of Pentacles, you have the 6 of Pentacles. Yes, I know Pisces doesn't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this either. But nothing worth doing right now is going to be like fast, right? 6 of Pentacles is planting seeds and seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. Like, it's a process. And you have the 8 of Wands, which actually is quick success. But, there's one thing that I will tell you. Is if you start building something, like if you're trying to build a business or a career, if you're trying to build a relationship, if you take your time, things will move quickly. But if you move quickly first, then you're going to have a hard time. People love to tell me that I contradict myself. I'm like, well, we don't live in a black and white world. It's like things are not black and white. You can start slow, and then that makes things move fast, or you can go fast, and then that makes things fall apart. It's like, I don't understand how people don't get that. But anyway, you're smart. I always say only smart and attractive people watch Minnow Tarot, right? So you get it. But, again, it's one of those things. You're going to have to like take your time and be willing to put in like the long-term effort. This is definitely a reading that is screaming long-term effort, right? Building things on a solid foundation, plain and simple. Next, what are we doing? We're going to look at how will things be different after, when we get into this time. You have this envy and protection card. You also have this jealousy and gossip card. How funny is that? I didn't even see that at first. So, yeah, you are protected. It makes perfect sense to me that there would be jealousy going on for Pisces right now. I really think it is I said this in your last reading, that like everything Pisces does is like below the surface. So, it's like I think Pisces is almost similar to Capricorn in some ways, right? Like Capricorn is notorious for working in silence. Like all of a sudden Capricorns will just like have done a bunch of stuff and people are like, where the hell did all this work come from, right? Same thing for you, Pisces. Like I feel that it's almost like many years of work that you've been doing behind the scenes could be coming out into the world. And this could cause jealousy. Like people could accuse you of, this, that, and the other thing. And your job is just to ignore it. Let the results speak for themselves. Plain and simple. You have the Wheel of Fortune, the Justice card, and the Temperance card. And so feeling like fortunes are turning in your favor. Again, we're looking at how things will be different once we get, into May here for the rest of the year. And so you really could feel more in control of your destiny. The Wheel of Fortune is, can spin in whatever direction it wants. We want to be at the center of the wheel so that we control the direction that the wheel is spinning in. And if you control the direction, then you control your life. So I feel a lot of you are feeling much more in control. You also have the Justice card. I like the Justice card in this reading. Sure, you could be getting justice or, positive karma. And we do have the North Node in Pisces, which in some ways is very much karma. We're also in between eclipses, and in between eclipses is always like a karmic time as well. So you could be getting like positive karma, but I feel like you are, kind of more balancing things out in your life. I feel like you're also doing more things that are kind of like working at this time. So are things perfect? Probably not, but I do feel that more of your work can work. So it's like a little bit less of a struggle, especially if you're doing the right things and not chasing your tail, like we said. So I feel pretty good about that with the Justice card. Next, you have the Temperance card. The Temperance card is patience, but it's also alchemy. And so the Temperance card is about, can be about turning a negative into a positive. You can also turn a positive into a negative if you want. I wouldn't suggest it, but you could if you wanted to. So I feel for a lot of you that this is about kind of like turning your situation around. All three of these cards would kind of represent that, right? Wheel of Fortune says you have a choice. You can move forwards or backwards. The Justice card says, what side of the scale are you going to give energy to? And hopefully you're giving it to the right side of the scale, the one that tilts in your favor. And the Temperance card is also about kind of creating that positive change and, getting the scales to tilt in your favor by turning negatives into positives or just improving your life in general. I do sometimes feel that the Temperance card is a card of trying to be too perfect. Like he's mixing these cups together, but this right here is the path to glory, and there's this glowing crown in the background. He could easily just step off on this path and go get his crown. There's nothing more for him to do. And I do feel that a little bit for you, especially for those of you that are working on something, project, business, it could be a personal project. It could be your health as well. It could be anything. This is saying to me that that you're like, sometimes I feel the Temperance card says that like where you think you need to be is up here, but like where you actually need to be is way down here. So it's like you could be overestimating the requirements for, success in whatever you're working on. And so I feel like the Temperance card is saying just get started and you'll be surprised by the results. With the Wheel of Fortune, you have the Seven of Cups. Yeah, it's like, really, once we get into May, you could all of a sudden be like, oh my God, where did all these options come from? Like, where in all areas of your life, it could feel like this. You could feel a sense of like freedom, where there are more directions that you can move in. There are more things that you can work on, or all these ideas come flooding into your head. And so I kind of do feel good about the Seven of Cups. I feel it could be a little bit overwhelming, but at the same time, you do have great cards of focus. Mostly the Queen of Swords and the Eight of Wands here are great for, kind of focusing in on one thing or pulling your focus in a certain direction. So I'm not too worried about it. With the Justice card, you have the King of Wands. Yeah, the King of Wands is a little bit of a visionary. He is, he kind of has these visionary ideas for his life, and you have a lot of this in your reading. I always say the best visionaries in the world are Pisces. Steve Jobs, Phil Knight from Nike, they were both born on the same day, by the way, in February 24th, right? And so I feel like some of the best Pisces are visionaries, and you might have these visionary ideas for your future, and I would be using those ideas for future success. With the Temperance card, you have the Six of Swords, which you have twice here. We go Six of Swords up to the Six of Swords. So, again, this part of the reading, we're looking at how things will be different once we get into the real 2025. And I feel that you could feel like things are improving, like you're moving on to calmer shores, less chaos. Really, it's probably less of that yo-yo energy where it's like things go up, things go down, or things go out, things come in. More stable, if that makes sense. Next, in the area of what you can't see coming, you have this Nourish card and you have this Gratitude card as well. I think the law of attraction right now, whether you believe in it or not, doesn't matter. I feel that, of course, whether it works or not doesn't matter to me personally. I do believe in the law of attraction, but at the same time, if it's not true, then I also don't care, because thinking more positively has changed my life just in general. So I feel like practicing gratitude would be a great thing for you. I think nourishing yourself and taking care of yourself more would be a good idea for you as well with this Nourish card. And maybe what you don't see is like the benefits of doing that. I don't think we do. The problem with health is, I once heard someone say something where they said, you can basically, if you don't breathe, you only last like 4 minutes. You can only last like 3 days without water. But no one knows how long you don't last. Like, no one pays attention to their health, right? It's like how long they won't last if they don't have their health or something. I don't know. I butchered that, but it doesn't matter. The point being is, it's like sometimes it's like we can't see the immediate effect of health and like what it does to our life. So I kind of feel that here in this third part of your reading. You have the Three of Cups, the World, and the Strength card. So we are going to look at the who, why, and what with each one of these cards. And so the who, you have 3 people right here. So Three of Cups can be those really close, concentrated connections. So I think it's funny that a person card came up for the who part of this reading, right? So the Three of Cups is about like really focusing in on those concentrated connections, the people that like share your vision, the people that really lift you up and support you, and all that other good stuff. So kind of like focusing on those people will probably lead to the biggest benefit for the rest of the year. For the why part of this, if I'm on the right part, you have the World. So the World is because Pisces is meant to stand out in the world, as I say to you all the time now. Time for Pisces to come above the surface. It's time for Pisces ideas to kind of come out into the world. And I feel that a lot of you, it's like you could be having a much bigger effect on the world than you realize. The world could just be the people around you as well. I am also getting travel here, Pisces, and we do have Jupiter will be leaving your 4th house in June. But, a lot of people say that when Jupiter is in our 4th house, we can move. I moved when Jupiter moved into my 4th house, same as you. And you can move, but you don't have to move. You could just be improving your environment. You could be making moves in your life as well. And even though Jupiter will leave Gemini in June, it really doesn't matter, because usually when a big planet leaves, we don't like get the benefits of it until after like the planet leaves. So a lot of you could still be doing things like moving, upgrading your home, improving your environment, all those things at this time. And again, what you don't see is how big of an impact that will have on your life. Next, we're doing the what. You have the Strength card. Yeah, the Strength card is your inner strength. And like maybe Pisces doesn't realize how strong they are. Like, maybe you don't realize how important all the work that you've done on yourself is. But I feel like you will be seeing the benefits of that in the future. Like, I feel a lot of Pisces, I feel like Pisces do feel like aliens on Earth. Like, every Pisces I've ever known, it's like they don't really feel they belong here. And, but like they feel different in some way. And I feel like this is you maybe embracing your difference for the rest of the year and really kind of standing out, which is good. With the Three of Cups, you have the Two of Cups. Yeah, Two of Cups could definitely be love. So what you might not see, that love is coming in for you here. Two of Cups is usually a different person, like a different type of person. I've been saying since like 2022 that the only time I've ever done love readings was like in 2022. And everybody kept getting the Two of Cups. So, clearly there's been some sort of change in love since like 2022. So you could be attracting like a different type of person. You could be attracting someone who's different than your usual type. Two of Cups usually starts as communication. With the Three of Cups, this could be a person that you meet through friends. So, I would definitely encourage socializing, getting out there, meeting new people with the Three of Cups. With the World, you can't make this up, Pisces. You have the Fool. So, like I said, we go from the Fool to the World and then back to the Fool again. And I feel that you could be taking a new leap of faith in a new direction. This is like a big change that you could be making here, Pisces. So this looks really, really good. With the Strength card, you have the Nine of Wands. Yeah, Nine of Wands, again, is putting up those boundaries, right? So based off of these four cards right here, like the jealousy and all that other stuff, I would definitely, put up boundaries against people and just ignore it for the most part. But again, I think that people don't maybe see your strength. And so, like, I don't want to say prove it, but, in a lot of ways, it's like, yeah, people could be talking, but, if you put your results out into the world, your results will speak for themselves. For your last row here, for the best possible future for you to step into, you have this, a personal issue reaches resolution. You also have this balance, spirituality, and practicality. Like, yeah, damn, Pisces. Balancing those two things is going to be very important for you moving forward. I think I've said this to you before or something very similar, that, it's kind of like the mixing together of the two worlds, spiritual and practical. And if you could mix those two things together, which you can, you're a Pisces, you're the two fish, right? Then I feel things will go really, really well for you. So that's what I would do. And again, with Neptune and Pisces, for example, it's like one thing that will screw you for sure is if you're trying to like make money for the wrong reasons. So it's time for Pisces to make money. I truly believe that. I say that all the time now, but for the right reasons, right? And that's going to be important with these cards. You have the Six of Swords, the Eight of Wands, and the Queen of Swords. So you have this card that says a personal issue reaches resolution. Six of Swords could be you just like leaving things in the past and again looking at the lessons you've learned from the past and saying like, okay, I learned these things. This woman and the child, they have nothing but the clothing on their back, and they also have these six swords in the front of the boat. Those six swords kind of represent the lessons, the spiritual lessons, the intuitions, the thoughts, all that stuff that they're bringing forward with them. So it says you're leaving the past in the past, but you're remembering the lesson. And, that could be a big thing for you. And that could be part of the best future for you to move into, where you're actually learning the lesson and not repeating it. You have the Eight of Wands. Again, Eight of Wands is quick success. This feels like a direction to me, and I feel that Pisces is looking for something permanent. I think Pisces is used to the yo-yo, the out and back, out and back, out and back type of energy. I feel like you're just like looking for something that can last a long time, and the Eight of Wands is like one direction that you can move in. So that could be like a big part of the best future for you to step into here in the future, is like something that is more focused and also kind of leading to something like a bigger thing. The Ten of Pentacles is everything you want and desire in your life. And it doesn't mean that you're going to have it, but it's like building, leaving a legacy. And a lot of you could really be working on like building a bigger legacy. You have the Queen of Swords. It's like, in a weird way, I feel that you are like less trusting with this card, but I don't really feel that's a bad thing necessarily, because I think Pisces is sometimes too trusting with people. It's like you give people the benefit of the doubt. It's almost like, it's like I feel like you still have that essence where it's like you're willing to just, trust people who enter into your life, but I feel like you're a little bit more like cautious or something. It's like you're still being a Pisces, right? But you're not being taken advantage of. And that's kind of the feeling I get. I also feel that if you have been lacking clarity, there is like a lot of clarity that could be coming in for you right now. With the Six of Swords, you have the Five of Cups. Yeah, I feel like you're no longer taking disappointments personally, really, is what I feel like this is. I feel like this is basically Pisces like saying, looking at, maybe in the past, you would look at every disappointment as like a reflection on you. It's like you would take it very personally, and it doesn't matter what this disappointment is, but I think instead it's like you're changing that. I feel like you're saying to yourself, like, I'm no longer gonna take these disappointments and blame myself for them, even if it is your fault. I think you're more looking at it in a healthy way. You're like saying, I had to go this is just a lesson. I don't need to beat myself up over it, right? With the Eight of Wands, you have the Eight of Pentacles. Love it. Eight of Pentacles is like straightforward, diligent work. He is working on one thing, and that is clearly important based off of this reading. So a lot of you could be like picking one thing to work on at a time, and you're accomplishing it. Eight of Pentacles is also material success on the horizon, so it could be more success coming in. With the Queen of Swords, you have the Ace of Cups. Yes, like I said, I mean, definitely could be love, right? So inviting love into your life could be part of the best future that you could step into. But as long as you're not like letting someone take advantage of you, or I think you're being a little bit more cautious. And like I said, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. It's almost like you're valuing yourself more. It's like the problem for Pisces is like we get into relationships and we just give people like everything right away, even if they haven't earned it. So, that's the problem, right? You have this bluff card. Yes, makes perfect sense. Again, I think based off those first 4 cards, the oracle cards there, it's like you are calling people's bluff. I think people are saying like, you can't do this, you can't do that. But like, instead of like, don't even try to defend yourself. Just, produce the result is what this is saying. And, the people who need to see you will see you. You have this resourcefulness card. I mean, I don't know. Every single person gets these cards of resourcefulness. So we're in a time of resourcefulness. I would just be resourceful. You have this concentration card. Yes, I definitely feel it's very... we see a ton of concentration in this reading. Eight of Wands, Eight of Pentacles, so much stuff here. So, like, picking something to accomplish and accomplishing it and concentrating on it is going to be important. You have this risk card. Yes, definitely a time for risks. Again, we're going to have a bunch of energy moving through Aries. So it's like you have to take the risk of initiating anything new that you're trying to get started on, right? So don't be afraid to take the risk. And finally, you have this revenge card. No revenge, Pisces, at this time, for sure. So I would be careful of thinking that you should get revenge on a person. I call this revenge fantasy. Like, I've heard a lot of stories from people where they're like, when my ex comes back and they try to come back into my life, I'm gonna show them, right? That is like revenge fantasy, right? And it never works. It basically says you haven't let go of the person. So I feel like this is saying don't do that. Also, based off the jealousy cards, I would be careful of like an ex or anyone who's trying to get revenge. It could also be that you have an ex who's just like jealous or something, and they're doing things to try to get revenge on you. I kind of do get that feeling that you might have a person who blames you for like the things that they did. So if you have a person like that, I would, block, move on, do whatever you have to do there. But damn, I love this reading for you. This looks really good. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy the real 2025.